What's up, everybody? Thank you for hanging out again. Willie Barcena's drop-in. I'm really excited this week because I have a guy who, he doesn't know that I call him Theo, which means uncle in English. And with all my friends, and when I was a younger comic, I would always say things like, "Oh, I'm gonna be with Theo J." Well, Theo J is here doing my podcast, and I'm very excited to have him. I have Jay Leno here.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Man, I got to tell you, when I was a young comic, and
I remember when you were a young comic.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know how I got my first Tonight Show, but I wasn't even prepared. I stopped in at the Comedy Magic Club to do 5 minutes. Somebody asked me, "Hey, you got a spot? Do 5 minutes," and I did 5 minutes, just like a regular day where you go do a spot anywhere, and then Jimmy Brogan.
Right.
I was walking in my car. I was already past the club. I was heading my car, already thinking about the next day. And then he says, "Hey, Jay Leno wants to talk to you, right?" And it's surreal. So I remember when I don't know if you remember, because everything for me as a young comic slows down. And I remember looking at you, and it was like, holy shit, he's right there. And you're just you're eating chicken wings, man.
That's right. Yeah. I'm still eating chicken wings.
So you're munching on chicken wings and
still eating chicken wings.
Yeah. And then you were looking up, and then you asked me, you go, "Hey, I like how," this is what you said to me, "I like how you do material." You said to me, what are you, Latino? You say, "Puerto Rican, Mexican?" I said, "Yeah, Mexican." He goes, "Yeah, I like it because your material's fresh." That's what you told me. Because I'm Italian, he said. I really like talking about other things. I get it. I'm Italian. But this is what you told me.
Right.
Let me ask you.
Follow Latin.
Right, exactly. But let me ask you, when I would talk to you about comedy, there were things that you would say about that. Everybody has their own perspective. And one of the things I remember is you didn't want to talk about yourself in comedy.
Right.
Do you remember?
I don't remember that, but go ahead.
But you would say that, you say, hey, you would do more observational.
Right.
And one of the things of the way you wrote, and I asked you, I said, why? And you say, well, nobody's that interesting. That was your theory back. This was 30 years ago.
Right.
Do you still have that philosophy?
Well, I mean, you have your own style, and that's kind of what my style is. I'm not one of those people that, sometimes I listen to comics and then my father hit me. And then,
wait a minute, that's my bit.
I mean, it's just like, all right, okay. It's just, I come from the sort of to my thing, to make a living, you got to play every kind of audience.
Right.
Every kind of crowd. You got to be able to do the sand and gravel convention in Las Vegas and the hip little thing somewhere else, So you want to have material that's pretty universal, I think. But there's nothing wrong with making it personal too. It's just when I hear somebody go into their insecurities and whatnot, I always think about people that really work for a living.
Okay.
If you're digging ditches or you're a cop or a nurse where you're dealing with some whiny comedian talking about, some little mental problem. It just, I don't think it connects well with the audience, It's like, to me, when you probably saw thing in the paper when my face caught on fire and I got all that kind of. It was people like when I joked about it. I said I was doing 2 shows, regular and extra crispy, that kind of stuff. And because people love to see rich people get set on fire. It's like, because here's the thing. I think most people think their lives could be changed if they just made $50,000 a year more.
Okay.
And they would have no problems. So when you're someone who's successful, especially have some money, people assume you have no problems, and they don't really want to hear you whine and complain.
Right.
Well,
okay. Here's devil's advocate to you.
All right.
Okay. And I always respect your advice. I mean, and I'll tell you a little as we go on with this.
Go ahead.
But when I was a youngster, I would buy Richard Pryor albums.
Right.
And Richard did talk a lot about his life.
But see, that's not a life of privilege. That's a life of fighting. Richard grew up in a whorehouse.
Yeah.
His grandmother was the madam in the brothel. Yeah, that's okay. That's not. I'm a middle class kid from a middle class family. We weren't poor, but we certainly weren't rich. But still, I like to think I'm in better shape than most people have bigger problems than I do.
Right.
So to me, to come on stage with my petty little white guy problems doesn't really, I think if you're a minority and you come from a point of view of being preyed upon or put upon, yeah, I think that's really fun. Like to me, my favorite thing is the immigrant experience. I love comedians that come from somewhere else. Man, I just watched, was it Ronnie Chang?
Uh-huh.
They find things that I don't see. Like he says, when I go to a fast food, but white people take all the napkins. Why do they take so many napkins? They take like 50 napkins. They have one hamburger. They have like 50. I really started laughing because I see people do that. They pull all the napkins out, And I said, okay, that may be funny. And that's not something I noticed because I live here,
Right.
But when you hear somebody come from another country talk about it, or for a lifestyle or an ethnic group that is not, would be considered quote a minority, it's something to play against, and I think it makes it really funny.
Well, I think I understand your perspective a little bit more right now, because you're saying you don't like that middle class average white guy or white female to go on stage and talk about.
No, I don't say I don't like it. Here's my thing: if something's funny, all bets are off.
Okay.
I mean, if it's really funny,
mm-hmm.
if it's marginal and people can't relate to it, if you're up there, if you're complaining about something and somebody else goes, man, I'm driving an 18-year-old car and I'm up to my ass in debt and this guy's bitching about this,
mm-hmm.
that's what I think the audience is always doing.
Right.
So to me, you want to make yourself, I think that's what made Rodney Dangerfield so funny. You go, today, I'm okay, Jay, but last week, when he tells you some horrible, over-exaggerating thing,
right.
It was so over the top that you had to laugh at it because it was so much worse than whatever it was happening to you.
Right.
That's all I mean. Like I say, if stuff is funny, then it's true. All bets are off. The biggest difference between, like, a lot of people get put upon for doing a sexist joke or a racist joke. But if it's really funny, people go, that's really, it doesn't offend them because you made them laugh.
Right.
I mean, you're getting a involuntary response. People don't naturally laugh. So if you get a laugh at them, you're making them do something they don't normally do.
Right.
So when you tell an inappropriate joke and it's not funny, okay, it's inappropriate.
Right.
And it didn't make them laugh. But how many times you have like, man, you can't say this, but it was really funny.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that was Richard Pryor,
Right.
He had all that material. When I started, I remember going to the comedy. Richie was coming in every night to practice. We called him Richie.
Okay,
yeah. He did like the first stand-up movie, or one of the very first stand-up movies, Richard Pryor Live on the Sunset Strip.
Right.
And he would come to the Comedy Store and work it out. And he would just kill. I mean, people like falling down laughing, And I used to say to Mitzi, can I go on after Richard every night? Because nobody else wanted to.
Wow, yeah.
Because that's when you find out.
Who would want to
that's
follow?
when you find out if you're any good. And I realized I didn't have an hour of material. I had maybe 16 minutes.
Oh.
But I realized out of my hour, I did have maybe 16 minutes that made people laugh that just laughed at Richard Pryor. Okay, so I just realized I threw everything else out, and I built on that 16 minutes.
How many times in your career do you think you followed Richard Pryor?
I did it every night for almost a month.
Oh, so do you think that made you made you a stronger
Here's
comic?
the thing: comics are inherently lazy.
No, wait a minute. I'm going to tell you something. That's one of the things he told me when I was a young comic.
That's right. And you were lazy.
No.
Here's the thing. You know where comics go? Comics go where people think they're funny.
Okay.
The trick is to go where people think you're not funny and get them to think you're funny. I grew up in Boston and I worked all the clubs in Boston. And then I realized all these Boston guys had Boston comedy acts. They had jokes about Mayor White and the Boston Police Department, and they talk with that accent, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And they went to Hartford, Connecticut, and people, what are you talking about? What? They couldn't relate to it. Because they had Boston. It was all based on things that in and around Boston that people in Boston thought was hilarious, but it didn't work all everywhere else, you know. So to me, by going on after Richard every night, I realized, okay, I gotta go to the next place. I got it to work here. And you go out and you do it across America and see if it works. A joke almost has to work almost everywhere,
right,
to be in your act.
Well, you know, one of the things for me when I was a young comic, and you're talking, and I could have worked the improv more and things like that, but actually Bud did have me in a lot of his clubs, you know,
Yeah.
and I know what he had like 20 clubs at one time,
Right.
and I worked all, but I never felt welcomed by the
No
clubs.
comic feels welcome.
Well, I think more, and I'm not trying to say that, but for me, we talk about immigrants. I'm an immigrant, came here when I was 7.
Okay.
So I always felt a little outside of.
But that's what a
Hollywood.
comic does feel outside. Everybody. I remember once Mel Gibson had just directed Braveheart.
Okay.
And I had him on the show. I'm in the dressing room. I go, I hope you win. He goes, no, I'm not going to win. They hate me, you know. But you know, the industry doesn't like me. I'm thinking, this is Mel Gibson. He gets like $20 million a movie. He's got the same attitude you have. It's, you know, it's an inferiority complex that makes you want to go into show business. You know what I mean? It's like.
Did you ever feel like an outsider?
Yes,
Jake?
I still do.
You still do?
Yeah, I'm the only white guy here.
So.
No, but you know what I'm saying? It's stranger in a strange land. That's what comedy is. When I was growing up in Boston, you know, I would hear my mother's friends go, you know, Kathy's boy wants to be a comedian. I hope he gets that out of his head. You know, it's not going to happen. Because it didn't happen to where I lived. You didn't, you know, of course you grew up in LA and everybody's a lighting director or something in the business.
Right.
But back there it was like, oh, you know, Jay will get that out of his head. He'll get a real job. Don't worry about that. You know, and so you always felt like an outsider. I mean, that's what makes you a comedian. You don't really fit in anywhere else. Most comedians are usually a few pounds overweight, not the best looking guys. You know, there's always something that's funny about them that maybe what makes women like them.
Wait, hold back. When you're a young comic, and I don't know if you know this or anybody's told you this, but before you were married, this is before Mavis.
Yeah.
With the older comedians, you know, you have a reputation. And I don't know if anybody they've said it behind your back, but I don't know if they said it to your face. That you were a ladies' man.
Well, I mean, I went out with a lot of. I guess I went. I mean, I was a single guy. I mean, you're a single guy in LA.
Yeah, when you're talking about, I'm a comedian. I wasn't good looking, but man, the stories I hear about you.
Not traditionally good looking. I mean, I think what would make me attractive is more my personality or something that people. Oh, they just, you know, it's not. You know, when I came to LA, I remember going for an audition. The guy said to me, you know, we like you, we think you're funny, but we think you have a face that would frighten children. And I went, what are you talking? And he said, look, I'm going to send you a friend of mine. He says, your jaw's too big. We need to break your jaw and rehang it so it comes up a line. I go, well, how long would that take? And he said to me, well, you wouldn't be able to talk just about a year. I cannot not talk for a year. I can't. No, I'm not going to do that. It just made me laugh. It's just so stupid. It's so funny. But it's true. Every comic I know, hey, my agency, ICM dropped me. I mean, I was pretty successful. I was working clubs. And at one point, they dropped me because they said, you know, you're good. You make money for us, but not enough. Right. And I said, okay. So they dropped me. And I was thrilled because a few months later, I got the Tonight Show. And
they dropped you right before the Tonight Show?
Well, I mean, no, actually a couple of years.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I was just starting. And I saved $30 million in commissions, maybe something like that. So fine with me. Fine with me. But what I'm saying is every performer, especially comedians, are outsiders. Think about it. You work alone. You're on stage alone. You write, you produce, you direct the whole thing yourself, you know, and you're by yourself. You really have no You know, if you're in a play, well, there are other people can cover for you or do other things. When
Right.
you're a comic, you're just out there, you know, and it can be brutal. You know, like I just talked to Joe Coy. You know, he did that stupid Golden Globe thing.
Yeah.
I thought he was fine. You know, like the joke they said. He said, "Oh, that
The
Taylor,
Taylor
Swift."
Swift joke, yeah.
It wasn't about Taylor Swift. The joke was the NFL had more pictures of Taylor Swift than they did of the game. Oh, okay, that's not the joke. Something serious.
Yeah, right,
Well,
right.
that's not insulting. That's more a put down of the NFL than it was of Taylor Swift.
Oh.
But you're dealing with you're dealing with a very privileged crowd. You walk in the Golden Globe, all the lights are up bright. Every comedy club, it's dark. The lights are up bright, cameras are on everybody. Okay, they don't want to be seen laughing at something. Is that inappropriate? I don't think people I laughed at.
Right,
So
right.
it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his
It
fault.
doesn't seem conducive to what a nightclub
it's
comedy
dope.
guy does.
Even Carson told me you don't want to host the Academy Awards because you're either too funny, which is disrespectful, or you weren't funny enough. There's never any. Really, it's just perfect.
Right.
You know. Jimmy Kimmel does a good job because Jimmy is kind of an insider. He knows Julia Roberts. He knows all these people. So when he does a joke about them, they laugh because Joe Coy doesn't know Brad Pitt and Taylor Swift and all these people. You know, he's a road comic. I mean, I'm sure he will at some point.
Right.
But so constantly going, who's this guy to make fun of? You know, that's sort of the attitude of the crowd. So I thought he did as well as he could under the circumstances. You know, it's a very tough job. And once they get on you, everybody's, I guess it's safe to jump on board. Okay, great. And everybody comes down on you, you know, so.
Like piranhas.
Yeah, but I think it's a good life lesson.
All right.
But we're off the topic. What was
No.
question?
I have so many questions for you. One thing that I know from your generation of comedians, there wasn't.
That's right.
No. I'm saying I was the generation right after you.
Your kids,
No. I'm saying there wasn't comedy clubs, and a lot of you.
There were no comedy clubs when I started.
No. See, you guys would do it at a strip bars, right?
Strip clubs, which was great because the great thing about working strip clubs is
who was in that. Who was in your class? Can you name some of the comics that would do strip clubs?
Well, I did strip clubs in Boston. See, the good thing about that was when you start out, you really suck. You're not very good.
But you would think a strip club, the men are just horny.
Well, right. Yeah, right. These guys,
right?
what I'm
hear
saying
a joke.
is they're not paying attention.
Right.
They're booing. So you have no idea how good or bad you are. But you do learn how to work a stage and so without the pressure of being funny. I mean, maybe you get a few laughs, you know.
Right.
It wasn't until I came to LA and started going to the Improv, I went to the Improv in New York too. But this is a real comedy club where people. The real change for me, I started working jazz clubs. I'd work with Miles Davis and all these kind of guys, and in a jazz club they go, "Please welcome." They always go, "Shh," because jazz audience they come to listen to music.
Right.
You know, most clubs are people hitting on women and just drinking, or strip clubs looking at women, whatever. Whereas a jazz club, they come in, they sit down, they go, "Please welcome Jay Leno." Oh, hey everybody, and they're actually listening to me.
Right.
So now there's a lot of pressure to be funny, and that's how you get good. But yeah, that was always a great thing for me. But I actually liked working the strip clubs because I learned how to be on stage and be comfortable and not worry about, you know, if somebody threw a bottle at me or something like that, or some drunk is yelling at me. I could yell back at them without getting kicked out of the club or getting fired.
Right.
My job was just to kill time between the girls. It really didn't matter if you get a laugh or not. Your idea is just to keep the whole thing moving, you know. So it was a good experience. I wouldn't change it for anything.
Did you? Okay, I would think that if you're going to work a strip club, you're going to be do dirtier, material. And you decided, you made a choice that you never worked. You don't really use the F word, right?
No, my problem was I was never dirty enough to be a dirty comic. And the difference between being a clean comic and a dirty comic is a couple of $1 million a year. I mean, it is.
Okay,
I'll give you an example. I remember I auditioned for Harris, and I was nervous, and I threw out maybe an F-bomb or something like that once. Guy goes, "We can't hire you." I said, well, I just did it here. He goes, if you did it here, do it at our club. And I didn't get the job. And I thought, they like me. I just used one obscenity. And that was in between working and not working. You know, when you work dirty, you rocket to the middle. You're like, oh, it's hilarious. About that. Okay. And then you wonder, hey, how come I'm not getting that gig? How'd that guy get it? Because ultimately the real money is working clean.
But what about if it's something that you want to do, like that's you grew up with guys that talk like that.
Here's my thing. Do what you want to do. I'm just talking about, do you want to be a financial success or not?
Okay.
It's not a matter. Here's the thing. If you're
But where does the artist come in?
Well, you know, it's show business.
Okay.
Everybody does the show. Almost nobody does the business. And I mean, what do you want from it? Do you want to be, you know, like when I started out, I read Lenny Bruce's book and all these books, you know.
What'd you think of Lenny Bruce? Because I'm a big fan. I mean, I got a picture of him somewhere up here.
Yeah, and he died on a toilet with a needle in his arm. Okay.
But you don't think he was great? When he was younger, not when he started talking about courts.
I thought, no, you know, it's okay. Did I think he was as funny as Rodney? No. Did I think, I mean, to me, do you want to educate? It's like I see comedians that feel they have to give the audience their political point. Here's why I'm for this candidate. All right. You know, I'm just here for the jokes, you know. You know, I knew Rodney Dangerfield for 40 years. We were close friends. I have no idea if he's Democrat or Republican. I don't know what he was. Because we never discussed it. It was just about the jokes. That's all it was. And you can separate your business from your politics.
But what about Carlin?
Huh?
George Carlin would.
No. Here's my.
It was political.
Yeah, that's fine. All I'm saying is, decide what you want to do, which way you want to go. I mean, is it more important for you to get a laugh, or more important for you to get your point across? Well, then you have people like Carlin who can do both very effectively.
Yeah.
You see, like, it's just what I said. If you're funny, all bets are off, and you can do whatever you want.
Right.
Okay. But if you're not, I mean, I think the classic example, do you remember Michael Richards got in all kind of trouble?
Yeah.
He got up.
The Laugh Factory.
The Laugh Factory. He started throwing the N-word around and everything. Okay. I don't think he was doing what everybody thought. I thought he was doing what, you know, who was the comic? Was it Lenny? Even Dick Gregory. Oh, you don't want to hear that word. Ooh, you know, and the people were laughing, but
the N-word. We're talking about the sensitizing the word, the N-word, and that was Lenny Bruce.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, he was like, he would say when he talked about racial things, Lenny had that thing about, who would you rather have sex with, Lena Horne or Kate Smith? You know, Kate Smith, if people don't know, was an enormously obese fat woman who could really sing. She was always famous for singing, God bless America. She'd come out, she's a big woman. I'm not being insulting. She's just a physically big woman. You know, and he would say, would you rather do with this sexy black woman or the big fat white girl? You know, and all right, and the audience would like, okay, because that was funny. But I think you see, Michael is like an actor comic,
right?
Not a stand-up. So I
used to watch him work at the Laugh Factory.
When he said, "Oh, you don't want to hear the N-word," okay, but he didn't have the funny line to back it up,
right?
So it just sounded like he was saying the N-word, you know, and it came across really bad. Here's the funny thing about it: when he did it at the club, didn't get any kind of reaction. People just kind of, oh, all right, it's not. But when the video came out, suddenly, oh my gosh, you know, it ruined his career.
You know, I said the F word on your show once, right? I don't know if you remember this.
I think so. Yeah,
I said the F word. We were talking. You had me on panel, and I said the F word, and then they cut the commercial.
Yeah,
and your face got so serious.
Well, yeah, because I get yelled at.
Because you had the most. I felt like I was in high school, and you were the principal, and you go.
Here's the thing: you were in high school, and I was the principal.
Yeah.
You know, that's exactly what it was, because are you a professional or not? I mean, there's nobody accidentally says the F word and people go, whoa, that was really brave. It just means
it was an accident. Okay, this is what you told me.
What?
This is what you told me. You go, hey, And then I've never seen you this serious, right? And it's like, hey, so I lean over, and I thought you were gonna say like, I don't know, but you said, you said the F word, and I said, I did, I said, I did, and then you go, yeah, look, and you go, I'm not upset that you said it. You said, I'm upset that you don't know you said it.
Yeah,
That's what you told me.
Yeah, that's
And then we come back to commercial. Now I'm feeling so awkward, man, because all in my head is I'm thinking.
I know, but that's what. But I mean, that's the difference between being professional, not professional. That's the business part of it. I mean,
You've never, okay, all those years you did the Tonight Show, all those years, man, hundreds of episodes, right? You never slipped up once with that?
No, I mean, no, I didn't, because if you're a professional, you're a professional. You
think Johnny ever slipped up with that F word?
No. It's different now. Back then, you lost your job, you got fined by the FCC. Do you know what a cabaret card is?
A cabaret card?
Yeah. Like in New York, you had a license to be a performer. You got a license to be on stage.
Oh, wow.
And if a cop was in the audience, this happened to Lenny Bruce, he lost his cabaret card. A cop saw him and arrested him for public obscenity, tore up his cabaret card. You couldn't work any clubs.
Okay. So did you have one?
No. That went to the Supreme Court. See, everything happened in the late 60s. You got a new Supreme Court. Suddenly pornography was considered free speech. Everything suddenly became free speech. Then the whole thing changed. But when Lenny worked in the mid 60s, it was different. You would be fined. You went to jail for being gay.
Right.
I mean, it was a different time. So saying the F word on TV or on public radio, well, the FCC came down, you were banned from the radio waves for 5 years or whatever it might. I mean, it was just unbelievable. It's not like today where you can pretty much say or do whatever you want,
Right.
I mean, plus the words lose their power. They lose their influence when you use it every single day and all the time, But to me, it always seems much more clever to come up with, like when I would do Letterman show, I'd always try to come up with words that I thought were funnier than the F word. Like I would say. I mean, I remember being Dave and go, Dave, you go to this, you go to the circus and they have these syphilitic clowns working the machines. Dave goes, syphilitic clowns, clowns with syphilis, Dave. Oh, okay. Well, and Dave, and we would laugh on the way to the joke because you try to think of something other than saying the F word or, that's where it is.
Let me ask you. You said earlier, a lot of these comedians, they go on stage and they talk about their insecurities. Listen,
that's I guess. Well, I'm doing too
broad.
Too broad. I mean, yes, insecurities are very funny because you got like Jeremy Hotz, who's really funny.
Yeah.
He doesn't. Please, that he's the insecure, nervous guy. That's his act. That's fine. I'm just talking about. I think audiences relate to people, and
what I'm getting at is, did you have a tough dad, man? Because you just seem like this old school guy where like, hey, man.
No, I had a great dad. I had a great dad. My dad was not. I don't think my dad ever finished high school. But I told this story the other day. When I was a kid, my dad was a prize fighter. And I asked him why he quit.
You used to go see your dad? Did you ever go see your dad?
No, this was before.
Box?
No,
okay.
My dad was 42 when I was born. So.
Okay.
So, but he had been a fighter, and he told me he quit that job because even on his best day at work, he got punched in the face,
Right.
And every day at work, he got punched in the face. And he said, this is terrible. My dad sold insurance. So he worked for a Prudential Insurance Company in New York City. So he went to his boss, and he was like a go-getter salesman. Where you go, what's the toughest area to sell insurance? And the guy said, oh, Harlan, black people don't care about insurance. And my dad thought, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you have a family? Why do you want insurance?
Right.
But it all the racist stuff.
Right.
So my dad said, give me Harlan. So he sold nickel policies, 5 cents a week. And if you died, you got $2,500 to pay for your funeral. I mean, this is what.
Right.
And my dad would go to all the tenements and collect a nickel. And when he died, I was talking about on the Tonight Show. I got a letter from a lady who was, I guess, then in her 80s, and she said when she was a little girl, there was a man named Mr. Angelo who came to their house, and he would always bring her a Tootsie Roll or a lollipop or something. And he was the only white man ever to have dinner in their apartment.
Wow.
And she said when she grew up, she hoped she'd meet Italian people like Mr. Angelo because Italians were nice to black people. And, there's one guy making, my dad was not a civil rights guy, but one thing at a time, one person at a time makes every difference. My dad was one of those people, like when I was growing up, all gangsters were Italian. Oh, fuck, turn that crap off. My dad did. Like when Lee Iacocca was on the cover of Time magazine, my dad had it hanging in the living room. This is an Italian for So I like people that are proud of their culture, proud of they're from, So whenever I see Latin people do it or African Americans do it, it just reminds me of my dad,
Right.
So my dad was a tough guy, but he knew the difference between right and wrong.
Right.
And so.
Well, what I was getting at is where did you get this drive, man? Because you're
well, because my parents grew up during the Depression, so they were always worried about everything. Money. When I flew my parents out to California, I buy a house in Beverly Hills, whole thing, and my mother, she goes, she got something wrapped up in her purse. I'm like, what's that? She goes, oh, it's the sandwich from the airplane. I didn't finish it, but it was very good, and I thought you would like it. I go, Mom, I'm making money here. I don't need a sandwich from the airplane.
Right.
It was, what did you say? It's just, yes. When you have Depression era parents, like when my mother could never get the time difference right, 3 hours. With the 3 hours later, 3 hours earlier.
Right.
So sometimes she'd call me thinking she was calling me at noon when she's actually calling me at 6 a.m. And I go, huh? She goes, are you asleep? And I go, no, I'm up. No, I'm working. I could never say I was, even if I was asleep, I couldn't say it because I felt like, no, I should be working. I should be doing something.
But you're always working, man. You're still always. You're working on your cars.
I am a huge believer in low self-esteem. Low self-esteem is a key to success. If you don't think you're the smartest person in the room, you'll shut up and listen. I watch friends of mine get TV shows and go, no, I don't like these lights. No, I don't care. Change them. No, I don't like this direct, and then they got a crew that's like all pissed off. They're all professional. When I got the Tonight Show, I said, hire the best people. Like when I would hire writers, I didn't hire them for 13 weeks. I hired them. I said, look, I'm hiring you for a year. It might take you 5 months to get my voice, but just write anything. Just write anything you write. Let me see it. It doesn't have to be a joke. It could be an idea, whatever. Maybe I can make the joke out of it. Maybe one of the other guys can. And that worked pretty good because I let people who I thought were better than me do the job.
Right.
Most people can't do anything. Some people can do one thing, like you and I. We can do one thing. Oh, tell a joke. Oh, okay. Or maybe you have other talents too.
No, wait. You're good at cars. You're like an expert mechanic.
But I'm not good enough to make a living out of it.
Okay.
But what I'm saying, this is something I'm good enough to make. So when I meet other people and they do lighting, okay. Yeah, you do lighting. Like on the Tonight Show, my thing was anybody could pull the cord and stop the train. If anybody thinks something about the show sucks, just tell me. And people come up to me and go, hey, that joke, it really sounds like you're putting this person down. Oh, it does? Okay, thanks. And it was.
And was this your writers giving you input?
Well, anybody.
Oh, okay.
Anybody on the show could come up and ask me.
Right.
And sometimes it was ridiculous, but sometimes you go, I never thought of that. Okay. I'm not a maid. I don't realize that's a demeaning joke. Okay, you're right. Let me take that out. And it worked pretty good. And that's always been my thing. I've always been hungry.
But
I live on the money. If I don't work this week, I think I'm broke.
Do you still have all those millions from NBC that you haven't used at all? Right? Didn't you not cash any checks from the Tonight Show?
No, you cash them.
I mean, you deposit them, right? But I mean, don't you still have all these?
My thing. I always had 2 jobs. I always wanted to live on the money I made as a comedian. I wanted to make my living as a comedian. I got a TV show. Okay, TV shows either last 13 weeks, or I was lucky mine lasted 23 years. Okay, that's great. But it could have ended at any time. In fact, it did.
It ended, and you were number 1. Am I right?
Yeah.
When they
Yeah.
were you considered fired? Do you think they fired you? Or
Well, yeah, of course they fire you. Sure they go.
but
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
number. See, this is what I tell
You know what? I always tell the story because I said, but I'm number one. They go, we want what's above number one. I go, okay, well, what's above number one? It just sounds so funny to me. It just made me laugh. But that's what I mean. It's this.
Were you down? Was your spirit down when
No.
you were, no? Not at all?
No.
Jay, what the fuck, man? Nothing ever gets you upset. You know, you're the most even-keeled man
I didn't
in the
say
world.
I wasn't upset. I wouldn't say I wasn't upset, but you can't, you just have to look at it for what it is. Okay, this is a challenge. The trick is I never.
Man, you're like Gandhi, man.
No.
I was like, this.
I never believe the good stuff, and I never believe the bad stuff. Hey, Leno, you suck. You're the worst guy. Okay, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the insight. Hey, you're the greatest. You're the funniest guy ever. No, I'm not.
I'm the opposite.
Hey,
I'm the opposite, man. I'm the opposite.
I know that's okay, but if that's where your comedy comes from, that can work for you. All I say as a comic, be true to yourself. Don't have fake insecurities. If you have real insecurities that really are a part of you, then that can be funny. Just don't try to invent them or see somebody else do it.
But you weren't upset, man. Like really, how did they tell you? We're done. I mean, I know they probably wait for you to get home so you don't do anything crazy, right, in the studio.
Don't do anything crazy in the studio.
Or no, how did they let you know that was your last day? You know
something? I'm a comedian. I used to work club. I'll tell you a story. And this is why I empathize with the women in the Cosby thing.
Okay.
I would go to clubs in Boston. They didn't have comedy clubs. And I'd put $50 on the bar and I'd say, can I go tell jokes? And if I do bad, you keep the 50. If I do good, give me my 50 back. And that cost me about $500.
That's a good move, man.
That cost me about $500 before I lost a lot of money. But I remember I went into one place and the guy said, hey, you in the union? I go, what union? AGVA. That's the stage union. You can't work at a community unless you're in the union. I said, no. Hey, go down and see this guy at the AGVA office. Go see my friend. He'll get you in the union. Okay, I'm like 19 now. So I got another guy. Hey, come on in. Well, I'm a comedian. How long have you been a comedian? Not quite a year. A year. You're supposed to join within 30 days. I could find you right now. He said, and I'm like a kid. I'm like, what? Okay. He goes, you got to join the union. I said, how much is it to join? He goes, $300. Now this is 1970.
$300 is a lot of money.
So I didn't have $300. So I made the classic mistake. I said, I don't have $300. The guy goes, how much you got? I got $75. Takes my $75.
Right.
Gives me his business cards, writes Union Man on the back of it, and signs it and gives me. He goes, you show this to anybody. Okay. Now I knew I had been taken, but I, like a girl auditioning for Bill Cosby. Well, should I take my clothes off? Is that part of it? I just felt like, okay. So I went back to the club, and the guy said to the guy, I'm in the union. The guy goes, what? What are you talking about? The guy, he takes it, goes, he laughs at my guy. He goes, that Joe, he's a good.
They bullshitting you?
He goes, get out of here, kid. And I realized I had been ripped off, but I knew I had been ripped off. As it was happening, I knew. But I thought there was maybe just a chance. You know how these women would say, I wanted to audition for Bill Cosby. I didn't know he'd answer the door in his bathrobe, And you go, why did you go in? Well, they went in for the same reason I do, because, well, maybe this is the way it's, I don't know, maybe.
Right.
I wasn't sure. So that's why I have great empathy for people in that situation. So when enough of that happens, when that happens to you enough times, I remember flying all the way across the country and renting a car and driving up to a club that was boarded up. And it had closed like 10 days earlier, and nobody told me. And I flew all the way across the country, and I go, okay. So, yeah, that happens to you enough, you can pretty much put up with anything.
I never told you the story, but I thought you were going to do that to me when I was a young comic.
What's that?
Take advantage of me, man. Because I'll tell you what. No, check out this.
You're not my
No,
type.
listen, bro. Prince was on the show, and he had like 25 people. And I don't even remember this. And there was no dressing room. And you said, well, let Willie use my dressing room. So I used yours because Prince took up his.
Oh, right, yeah.
So then I said, I need to take a shower. And you had a shower in your dressing room that just had 4 glass walls. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember taking the shower, and as I was showering, I was rotating around because I was expecting you to come up behind me and say, "Hey, how do you like the shower?"
Yeah. No, that was your dream. That's what you were dreaming about. You wish that would have happened. I'll tell you a great trick I played on Prince. One day we had Prince scheduled to be on the show, right? So I had them put a bald wig on me and a mustache and a security guard uniform, right?
Yeah.
So I'm out at the gate, and Prince comes up and he goes, "It's Prince?" I said, "Prince who?" He goes, "Prince." "Prince what? What? Prince, the musician." "No, I have no Prince. Do you have a last name?" And he's just getting so pissed, Is it like Prince Khalib or something like? No, it's not Prince Khalib. And then I'm like this, and he goes, "What, you think this is funny?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "The fuck are you?" It was really funny. He was a nice guy. He was a really nice guy. He really thought it was funny. And yeah.
When you had him on the show, the rumor was that you don't look at Prince in the eyes. From people.
I don't know where this stuff comes from.
I don't know, man, but that was like, don't look Prince in the eyes if you see him on the show, because I knew he was going to be on the show. So friends of mine go, "Hey, there's a rumor out there. Don't look him in the eyes." And I remember I saw him, and we were, I was like, facing him.
Right.
And I would just look up everywhere. I could see him looking at me, and I can see him thinking, this guy's weird,
Well, no, I think people do that with you anyway.
Okay, yeah.
I think people just go, "This guy's weird."
So, you have this reputation, going back to like being the nicest guy. Jay, you had 1,000 guests. You loved them all? Was there ever a guest that you said, "Man, fuck, I can't wait to get rid of this guy"?
Yeah, I think that's so. The worst was when people came that didn't really want to be there.
And was that musicians, actors?
Well, yeah, sometimes musicians. Sometimes you get a lot of people that are too cool for the room.
Right.
All right, fine. Like people go, "Oh, I have to go," and then the show ends and they're still in the dressing room, but they think it looks hipper if they're not out there for they have somewhere to be. We'd like the guests to stay.
But what? Okay, did anyone ever piss you off? Did you ever?
Well, I remember we had Joaquin Phoenix once, and he would come on in character. He had a beard, and he's playing this character. It was just really kind of annoying. And at the end of the interview, I said, "Hey, look, thanks for coming. I hope next time when you come can come in person." But
did it piss you off?
Well, I just said it as a joke, and then his publicist, "He is a genius. You don't talk." I go, "Well, if he doesn't want to be here, don't come. I mean, why come and be a slub? Just sit there, If you don't want to be here, don't be here, So, but no, for the most part, it was mostly people that wanted to be there. And sometimes people are just frightened or scared or awkward. I mean,
Jay, you're in the. If there were to take a statistic, you're in the 0.001% of people who don't get pissed, man. Because everything,
I'm not saying okay. I mean, I don't.
Did you ever punch anybody in your life, Jay?
Yeah, I did in college.
You did?
Some fraternity guy.
All right.
Trying to.
All right, I want to hear this.
Yeah,
this I want to hear.
Some fraternity guy just.
What happened?
Just coming up and telling you have to do this, and I've never been a bula kind of guy. I'm not I don't go root for teams and paint my face and do all. So I hate that.
What college was this?
That group mentality. Well, no, I'm just saying in Boston there were a lot of colleges.
Oh, it was a college guy.
Yeah,
so what happened?
I remember this guy grabbed me. And I just punched him, and I thought, "Oh, that wasn't very good."
Was it a good punch?
But I'll tell you a story. You'd like this. I told us the other day. One day I'm in traffic, and I'm sitting there, and the guy behind me, beep 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 beep. And I go, go around me. So I kind of pull off. He goes around me, gives me the finger,
Oh.
So I catch up. I go, "What's up?" I goes, "Hey man," and he's swearing at me, yelling at me. And as a comic, you sort of know how to do this. I looked at him. I go, "Let me guess. What are you? 52? You're fat. You're bald. Let me guess. Best day was in high school. Let me guess. You're divorced. Your kids hate you. Your job sucks."
He said all this to this guy.
Yeah, and he starts crying.
Oh.
And he goes, "You're right, man. You're." I go, "All right, well, hang up." All right, so now I get out of my car, I get in his car, I go, look, man, I'm sorry. No, you're right, my kids. I got 2 girls, they don't speak to me. How old are your girls? 9, 11. I said, look, do they like Taylor Swift? He goes, yeah, they're good. I said, I got Taylor Swift on the show Wednesday. I want you to come, bring your daughters. I'll let you. And you know, Taylor Swift was great. She gave them swag and gave them CDs and spoke to the girls. And the guy was like a hero, you know. And it was, I mean, she was just terrific. Really a nice, she didn't have to do that. She was really a nice person. And it worked out okay. But
this is a bizarre story, man. I mean, these things like who, like what guy gets into another guy's car? See, this is what I'm talking about. This stuff would only happen to you. Like
Really?
I've never heard of a guy being, oh yeah, man, I was in traffic and we were kind of going at it and I ended up in his car.
Well,
I bet you nobody has that story.
Ultimately, the good part of it pays off.
I get it. I get it. No, listen, everything,
you know?
the way you are as a human being, the way you've always been, you know.
I mean, you can tell the difference between somebody who is really mean and nasty and somebody who's got some, you know, is like when I would deal with hecklers. Like if I'm in a club and I'm being heckled by a guy, I remember being heckled by a guy, a big fat guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I started making fun of his tie. And I could see the guy was waiting for the fat joke.
The fat joke.
And I did a nice tie. Is that a clip-on, sir? Is that the, no, now what do you get? What's a tie like that? $1.50, something like that? You know, and people laugh. And then, okay, and he realizes I'm not trying to kill him. I'm not trying to go for the throat. I'm not trying to humiliate him. Because audiences think as a group. And they side with the heckler initially. And if you tear a heckler too hard, they feel like, oh, well, they picked on one. They played awful mean to that guy. It's kind of nasty, you know. But if they sense that you're just kind of poking them, you know, just having fun with them, now they join, and then you don't get heckled anymore.
Okay.
You know, and that's always worked for me. And it's the same sort of thing in life. You try to read this. I'm not saying there aren't times when you do have to punch a guy, you have to fight back or whatever it is. But there are times you can diffuse a situation just by not being the alpha male all the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
If that makes any sense.
No, do you have any brothers and sisters?
I had a brother 10 years older.
You had a brother that was 10 years old. Did he have your personality?
No, my brother and I couldn't have been more different.
And raised in the same
my
household.
mother was from Scotland.
Okay.
And my dad was Italian. So I got the Italian hair, the Italian teeth. My brother got the English fair skin, you know, burned because out in the sun, gets the bad teeth. My brother was really smart, one of the top 10 students in the country.
Wow.
But quiet, you know, not, you know, I was more like my dad, kind of a salesman type. And he was more like my mom, so quiet and, you know, kept to himself a lot, liked to read and very studious. And he went to military school, you know, he went to military college where he had to march every morning in uniform. He had to attend all classes in a uniform. It's 120 degrees. You're in a wool uniform. You know. So he did all that. So
what was his name?
Patrick.
Patrick.
Yeah. Okay. He died of cancer about 25 years ago.
Were you, as far as these same different personalities, was he as mellow as you are? Because you seem like you smoke a lot of weed, and I know you don't. But
I've never smoked weed in my life.
I know you never.
I
but
never
see,
had
guys,
a drink.
I know that about you. But you are like the perfect stoner.
Thank
you know,
That's
because everything's like, whoa, mellow, man. You got to look at it from this angle. You know.
All right, that's fine. I guess the stoner would be.
But hey, I got there's something I want to talk to you about, and I want to thank you because I've told people this story. You approached me years ago, and you were going to produce a sitcom for me.
That's right.
And I went to your house, and I don't know if you know this. Do you know the story about when I had a Toyota Celica,
right?
Had a dent on it. Had some Bondo. Anyways, so I'm driving. You were in Beverly Hills, and I was driving because you told me come to my house.
And you're driving like this.
So I'm going through homes looking for this address in Beverly Hills, and I didn't notice there was a cop behind me. It's just on me the whole time, but I was oblivious, right? I'm just looking at these addresses, and right when I get to your home, he puts on the lights.
Oh, that's
and it was right in front of your house.
Right.
And I don't think I've ever told you this. And he goes, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to Jay Leno's house." And he goes, "Yeah, sure you are." And I go, "Oh, look, this is the address right here." So he goes, "Yeah, let me see you call him." So that's when I went up. You still live in that home? Same home? Okay. So I went there and I dialed your number and then you buzzed me in.
Right.
And I looked at the cop and he goes, and he just left, right?
That was funny.
But that's when you started telling me about, hey, I want to work a project with you. And we interviewed a few writers.
Right.
And I was excited. I mean, for me, showbiz, man, has been extreme highs, extreme lows, man. Because I remember when you told me that.
Because Freddie Prinze and I had been roommates.
I didn't know that, man.
Yeah, you knew that then.
No, I didn't know you guys were.
Yeah, Freddie and I taught Freddie how to drive. He would come up to my house because he was 17 and I was, I guess, 20, probably 20 years old. He's like 3 or 4 years younger than me.
And this is in LA?
No, this is in New York.
Okay.
This is in New York. And then when he came to LA, he got Chico and the Man. And I came out here and I stayed with him in his apartment. And he got Chico and the Man. And, people think he committed suicide, but it was deemed an accident. Freddie had a habit. He had that weird thing, fascination with guns. And he would play a trick on girls. He'd go, "I'm going to kill myself." He'd go in the bedroom, fire the gun. And the girl, "Oh my God," he'd pretend to be dead. And then, "Haha, I'm not dead." That kind of stuff. And I think what he did was he put the gun to his head thinking it was empty and pulled the trigger. And I think that's what because the insurance company paid off on the claim.
I've never heard this. I always thought it was
no. The insurance company, I believe, paid the family the medical. If you commit suicide, the policy is null and void.
Right.
Okay. But it was deemed to be an accidental death because he was shown off and playing with guns. And it was kind of sad. I mean, that was a classic case of show business just going to your head and going crazy. I mean, it really was a sad story.
How long were you roommates with him?
Oh, just when I say roommates, I stayed. When he would come to Boston to work, he'd stay in my apartment. Mm-hmm. When I came to LA, I stayed with him for the first couple of weeks. So I not really. Yeah. We didn't rent an apartment.
But you still, I mean, if a comedian stays out of the comics apartment or home, you get close.
Yeah.
So
and hoping Willie, I hope he comes in the shower when I'm here.
Hey, so I don't know if you remember when we got a writer, which I forget the guy's name, but I was really excited, man, that you were going to work on this project. And if you remember the story, it was that what you had was that you were a mechanic. No, you were in between the mechanics and the salespeople.
Right.
You had a job like that.
Right.
And that was the premise of the show.
Right, like a service writer. Yeah.
Because I could easily fit into that role.
Right.
But then I was really excited, man. I remember my son was a kid, and I was like, all right, it's gonna be great. You visualized everything, like, all right, man, I'm gonna have this show, it's gonna be on NBC, it's gonna kick ass, boom. And then I got the script, and then you got the script the same day. And I remember I read it and it was horrible. It was like the most stereotypical Latino.
Yeah.
It was, and I said to myself, well, maybe we could do some rewrites, but the whole script sucked balls. And then you called me and you go, "Willie, did you get the script?" And then I said, "Yeah." And then, so I asked you right away, I said, "Well, did you get the script?" You said, "Yeah." And I said, "What did you think?" And I asked you, and you said, "Willie, we can't do this, man." You told me we can't. Right. You go, "It's too stereotypical. It's too low-hanging fruit. And I can't do it." And then you said, "Man, I'm sorry, Willie." He goes, I tried. Do you remember telling me that?
Yeah, I feel like it comes back to me.
See,
now,
but that's what I'm talking about, this business, man.
Yeah.
And it's like extreme highs and extreme lows.
Well, see, that's why I always like stand-up, because I always knew what that was going to be. I always knew, like, people go to, "What's it like when you go out there and just bomb?" Well, you reach a point where you don't bomb anymore. You have shows that are better than other shows.
Right.
You go like, "Ooh, I was tough, but I got through it." The other, you would go out and jokes that killed yesterday don't work at all today. No, but that really doesn't happen. You just not if you're out there just trying to ad lib or do talk off the top of your head for an hour. Well, yeah, that's going to be a little rough. But so after a while, you get a certain dependency. You realize okay, you can depend on a certain. That's why I never put all my eggs in the TV basket or the movie basket or any of that stuff because
You're a good actor, man. A lot of people don't know.
I'm not a good
No, I
actor.
think if you were in a movie where you were kind of a '50s guy.
Oh, American Hot Wax. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
And essentially, that movie couldn't be released because we had Jerry Lee Lewis, we had Little Richie, we had all those people, but nobody got the music rights because in those days the movie came out and it disappeared, and they realized they couldn't rerun it on. There was no HBO or anything, and when HBO and all that stuff came out, they couldn't run that movie because they did not secure the music rights, and the music rights would have been too expensive to release.
So what? It took. They held it for a few years before.
No, it's never been. I mean, it was released theatrically initially, but then.
Wait a minute! I seen the movie.
You've seen clips on YouTube.
Is that what it is?
It's never been on TV or anything. Never been on HBO or anything. No.
Wow, it's like I think it's one of those crazy things where you think you
Fran Drescher, who is now head of the SAG. Yeah. She was the other co-star. Yeah.
So how come you
I never wanted to be an actor.
Okay, why don't? Okay, I was gonna ask you, why don't you like acting?
Oh, okay,
because I think you're a pretty good actor, man.
Here's when you act. Okay, that was very funny. That was hilarious. Well, let's do it again exactly the same way. Okay, all right, good. That was just as funny as the first time. Okay, now we need it from the third angle. Okay, good. Okay, that wasn't quite as funny as the first one, but yeah, okay. And then they edit, and then what? I remember having a guy. There was a movie called The Thin Blue Line. We had this actor on. I'm in the dressing room. It was this big break, and he was in the Philippines. It was a World War II drama, in a ditch. Just you want to see him through mud like Band of Brothers kind of thing.
Right.
But it was this big break. And he comes to the theater. He comes to the show with a clip, and we get a call that afternoon. Don't show the clip. We go, why? Because he's been cut out of the movie. What? Yeah, the director called. We went a different way with the film.
This is your character.
No, I wasn't. No, this was the actor that was going to be on with me.
Oh, okay.
But he was still scheduled to be on. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I didn't want to tell the guy. So we did the show, and I said, we don't have time. Oh, we don't have time for a clip. Oh, the clip didn't get here. And this poor guy, he found out. He 6 months of his life in a mud puddle in the Philippines, playing these guys in a shootout. But the whole scene was canceled from the film, like a whole 25-minute thing. And I said, that's what being an actor is. It's 6 months of your life. Yeah, you got paid, but you got no. Yeah.
No, I didn't. I did a few sitcoms. I did a couple movies. I didn't. And tell me how you feel about this. I hated the whole thing of, okay, you're gonna deliver this line on that X,
right,
and you deliver this other line on this X.
That's
and
right. It's a comic. You make your own line.
Right, right.
And to me, that's just
freedom.
Way more fun. Plus, to me, I like comedy because it's write joke, tell joke, get check. Thank you.
Right.
Movies, you wait weeks, months to get paid.
Right.
Sometimes years to get paid. So it's a whole different thing. But doing stand-up is like, it's like a cash business.
It's all right. It's cash. This is good. I want if you could share a story, because I've heard this story, and I heard it from Bud, who passed away, Bud Friedman.
All right, what's the story?
And the story is, and I was actually in a book. I think it was also in a book about you losing a bunch of cash.
No, I didn't lose the cash. What
okay,
tell us. I worked for Rolls Royce. I worked at a car dealership in Boston, and in those days, when a Mercedes or Rolls Royce came in to Port Elizabeth in New Jersey, they didn't put them on trucks. You would send like 3 guys down, and each one would drive a car back to the dealership. And when people inquire, those are test miles. Okay. So one day I deliver a Rolls Royce to a guy. Here's how long ago it was. The price of the Rolls Royce out the door, the most expensive car in America,
right.
$35,000, 1969. So the guy gives me $39,000 in cash. So I pick up another car to drive up to Boston. I got the money under the seat. And then I go, well, let me stop at the Improv in New York and do a guest set. So I pull in the Improv. Now, Bud Friesman sees this kid pull up in a Rolls Royce. He thinks, oh, this kid must be famous. You know? I go, hey, Bud, can I go? Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. So I take the bag of money. I take the $35,000. I put it on the piano. Right? I go, it's my lunch. You know, I do it set, and I got my tape recorder, and I'm killing. Like, I kill. I come off stage. I got the tape recorder. Hey, Bud, thanks. That was great, man. I get in the Rolls. I get to the first toll booth in Connecticut, and I go, where's the 35 grand? And I realized I left it on the piano. And I go, now I'm gone an hour. So I turn around, go back to New York. Now it's 2 hours. I pull up about 1:45, maybe 1:15 in the morning. I go in. There are like 3 people there, and a singer's on stage. And I see the bag, you know, and I go, oh, left my lunch on the thing. You know, I grab my look at it, and the money's all still there. But I'd just be getting out of prison now.
Right.
Yeah, if I'd lost
Matt,
it.
you had to be sweating, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, yeah. But that was the most expensive car in America, $35,000. Isn't that funny?
Well, I mean, that's probably one of your, I mean, how many cars do you have? 100? 150?
206 on the road.
Yeah. You always say, hey, I have a lot of cars. Some guys have a lot of women, right? I have a lot of cars. What do you say?
No, some guys have one car and like 200 women. I have 200 cars and one woman. That was the thing. That was this. Yeah. You know, I only said it once, and for some reason it seemed to have resonated.
It stuck.
But people like that. They come up to you and they like that kind of thing.
So what was your addiction with cars, man? What and cause to me, there's a hobby, and I think this is an addiction.
No, I think there's a sense to it. When you work with your hands, you realize how easy it is to make money talking. You know, if you were to take a transmission out, your hands would be all cut up and it's reek of fluid and grease and oil. You might make $80 for the day, maybe for doing that.
Right,
maybe 90.
Right.
You know, and then you go talk and you get 100. You go, oh, this is unbelievable.
So was that a way to keep you grounded?
Well, I think it keeps you grounded. It does make you appreciate. I mean, I always tell the story. I'm not going to say who it was, but a famous movie star.
Say it, man. Come on. Come on.
It was on the Tonight Show. Because I would if it was important to the story. But
okay.
we're talking about during the break. He goes, "Hey, what's a good sports car to get?" And I said, "Well, this new Ferrari that just came out is pretty good." And he went, everybody's got a Ferrari. I said, okay, everybody does not have a Ferrari.
Right.
Okay. I said, if you say that publicly, you'll be taken out the street. I said, you got to get out of LA. Do you really think? And then he started to laugh. He goes, I guess it sounded pretty stupid. Yeah, it did. Everybody, but you live in a world where everybody does have a Ferrari. That's not real. That's what I mean. That's why I always tell comics, you got to do the road, because the road is where real stuff happens. You know, I see comics, when they work the road, they were funny. Then they become rich and famous, and they have a road manager, and they have this, and nothing funny happens anymore because somebody else does all the stuff. When I travel alone. I travel by myself, and funny stuff happens all the time.
Do you remember calling me at a hotel in Kansas after I did your show?
Was I in Kansas or you were?
No, I wasn't. I did the Tonight Show,
right.
And then I had a friend of mine who was like my assistant,
right?
And then
was he your road manager?
Yeah. And then you called me in the hotel.
Yeah.
When I landed in Kansas, right. And you said, and this is all you said, and then you hung up. You said, "Hey Willie," it was Josh, by the way, Fabian. But Jay calls me. Imagine I get to my hotel, I check in, the phone rings. It's Jay, and he goes, I just want to let you know, Willie, that Clint Eastwood carries his own bags." He told me that.
Yeah. He does.
He does.
Yeah. But I mean, it's true. I mean, that is true. Funny stuff happens when you're.
You lose the funny when you lose yourself.
That's why you get so caught up. No, I'm not carrying my own bags. No, I'm not doing it. And why? Who are you? What are you really? What's the difference? You know. Yeah. So yeah, it is funny. But to this day, I still travel by myself.
There's so many stories. I mean, and I bet you there's countless, man, that I meet people and they go, oh, I met Jay and my car broke down and he helped me, right? You do that all the time all over Burbank or around LA, right? Where people's car break down and you help them out.
Well, yeah, because I can help people out if their car breaks down. So yeah, I like doing that. It's kind of fun.
This is your Gandhi thing, man, because you do so many things. And then okay, I asked you because when I asked you, would you do my podcast? A lot of people do podcasts because they want to get this like this ambush thing and or just jar the listener. I just like to have a conversation.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you first. You do a lot of things, and you don't like people knowing of the things you do. And I've known for years that you donate a lot of money to women from the Middle East, but you don't make it public, right?
No. Well, it's not like, oh, I have women in the Middle East.
No. Well, tell about that.
No, my wife is very much involved with women's rights issues, like in Afghanistan.
Okay.
She got a Nobel Peace Prize nomination.
Wow.
Yeah, so we did stuff like that, and you help. But yeah, it's all right. How much pie can you eat? Okay, if you eat all the pie, you're still going to have a lot of pie left over. So the idea that you have to have the whole pie seems ridiculous. So to me, I mean, we did that when we did, when I was doing the Tonight Show. Well, you see, it sounds like you're blowing your own horn.
It's just Jay. Come on, man.
But like they were going to get rid of half the union guys, and I
know the story.
Yeah, and
I knew your guys,
and I was making $30 million a year, and I said to NBC, well, how much? Well, we'll say $15 million. I said, well, cut my salary in half. Can we keep the guys? And I sat down with my wife and said, it's just the two of us. If we cut a little bit, I think we can live on $15 million a year. $15 million a year. I think we can do that. And something, we wound up with the most loyal, greatest union guys ever.
Your crew was amazing, man.
Yeah,
it was always the same guys.
We had the same guys. Nobody wanted to quit. Nobody really quit. You treat people right. I mean, it just seems like common sense. But what happens is, there's the great scene in The Godfather, where the soldiers turn on their own people, and when your own people are shooting at you, maybe you're doing something wrong. How many times you heard about a show, and it happened on my show when I had a manager that is bad to people, and then suddenly everybody's hoping your show bombs. Even people working on the show hate you. So I just cleaned house. I got rid of the manager.
Her name was Helen, right?
Yeah, right. Just got rid of all of that. But, it was a case of being a little too loyal, because they'd been good to me early on. I thought, okay, maybe. Then I realized, no, this is getting ridiculous. So we just cleaned house and got rid of that and then started clean sheet. I have no manager. I have no agent. I just do it myself now. And it's always been much easier for the last 30 years.
Well, even Jesus, Jay, even Jesus, when he made miracles, there was somebody there to write about it. It seems like you.
I think
you do. I mean, I know. I'm saying, bro, we wouldn't know all these stories of Jesus if somebody didn't know or see it. And then you do all these things. Okay, I'll tell you why. Because I remember when we did this show in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And we came back, and there was all these, newspaper people, paparazzi,
right.
And they were going to write a story about the trip we did up in Bahrain.
Right.
And you told everybody, look, can I ask everybody a favor? And it was packed. I think we had Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders in there.
Oh, yeah.
Wayne Newton was in there. Cedric. Chris Isaac.
Yeah. That's right.
A couple other people. And anyways, you told everybody, can I ask everybody for a favor? And right? And then it was like, nobody knows what's going on. And you said, there's a lot of newspaper people that want to write about this show that we did in Bahrain.
Right.
And you said, I really don't want to, I didn't do this for publicity. So the favor I ask is, can everybody stay on the plane? You can order whatever you want. I don't care if it's lobster. I don't care what it is. I got it. But can you guys mind just hanging for like an hour or two? And so do you remember this? We all ate.
Yeah.
Do you remember this? And we all ate. So everybody ordered dinner and we ate. We had some drinks. and then they left. They got tired, and then nobody was interviewed.
Oh yeah, no, I forgot
But-
about that. Yeah.
But why don't you want a little pat on the back?
Well, no, it's a pat on the back. It's fine. Yeah, give me one now. Thank you. I mean, you know. But I think people, when you're in show business, I'll tell you a funny thing. When I got the Tonight Show, it was the Tonight Show starring Jay Leno. And my mother, being in Scotland, starring Jay Leno. Oh, Mr. Big Shot starring Jay. I go, Mom, that's what they do. Oh, starring Jay Leno. Like, people don't know you're on the show. You got to make yourself the big star of the show. My mother, she wouldn't let this go, you know. I said, look, Ma, watch the show next week. And I changed it to Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Oh, okay.
So the rest of the, she go, well, that's better, I think, than starring Jay Leno. I go, okay, Mom, I make it with Jay Leno, so it doesn't look like I'm blowing my own horn. Yeah, so hilarious.
So then your humbleness, a lot of it, you think it came from?
Well, yeah, where else did it come from? You got to come from your parents. Yeah. I think
Oh, okay.
You know, Scotch people are very that's no, please, that's fine. This, they're quiet. But I think most moms are like that.
Well, no, mine was evil, bro. Mine was evil, but hey, hope she's in a better place.
Yeah.
Listen, brother.
It's got to be a better place.
Yeah. Hey, man, this is Barcena Production Studios, bro.
Say, I don't know, like we're shooting porn in here.
Fabian might be shooting porn, man. But Jay, man, listen, man, thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Doing this,
Yeah.
I always enjoyed when you. When I was a young comic and I was on your show, man. I was always nervous, and you don't know this, but you had a lot of alcohol in the dressing room.
Yeah, don't have to tell me. Hello.
you had everything anybody could want, and then I would always have like a couple buddies with me, and we'd drink a couple of shots.
I know. I get the bill.
I was trying to keep it low, man. We're trying to hide the bottles from you.
You were terrible at hiding it.
No, I did hide them because I would tell him, put him in the back so he doesn't see.
Yeah.
But man, thank you for doing this podcast, man.
Thanks. Anytime, man. We've been friends a long time.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you, Jay. All right, everybody. Appreciate you. We're gonna have another episode next week, and I just want to thank Jay Leno again for being part of this, and to all my followers, thank you. Love.
To both of them.